we
Oh,
go.
no, not okay. Terry Crews, Blizzard Overwatch team. Oh, you're doing predictions tonight?
Well, yeah, I'm doing one.
Let's
Only
see.
one right now. Not the. I don't want this. I want the chat room.
If I had an opinion, I could care less about the Overwatch comic, but if you want to talk about it,
Yeah, just a little
it's
bit.
fine. Um,
It's yeah. It's just it's a question, and it would be interesting to. I actually want to bring it up again with Brando.
do you know why he's not on tonight? You don't know?
He's picking up somebody from the airport.
Okay, all
Well, I
right.
know. I found a better group of friends, I guess.
That's always the case, isn't it?
So the stream is going right
Yes, and
now.
yes, and I watched the Kaplan today.
Well, good.
I did. I watched that, so
The Kaplans.
that was good. Okay, yeah, I'm ready to go when we're ready to go.
Okay, I need to hit record.
Am I on Twitch? I don't think so, right?
Well, your picture
They
will
can
be.
hear me. Okay.
No, they can see you too.
They can see me talking to you?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I've got little TV screens, man.
My camera sucks, but
That's okay. You'll get a better one for Christmas.
I don't know from who, but okay.
You've got a lot of your wall on the right hand side. I
And
think you
that way
probably
I
see
can
it.
do things.
Okay, no, I like that. All right, that makes sense. Don't forget to
When
hit
I'm
record.
describing things, you can actually see. I'm trying to I'm trying to redefine how people are on Twitch.
Or on Twitch, you need the
Yeah.
hand gestures.
Well, sometimes when you talk about Overwatch and there's
You need to be
many
able
things
to
happening,
gesture.
sometimes I get really frustrated with the things that are happening.
Sure. Here,
Right?
I'll be positioned here, and then we'll be on my screen. We're back to back, so that we can.
Right? No. That's good, because I've seen people do that too. There's a whole podcast where the two guys had basically created the duplicate room, but in two different parts of the United States.
That's
Right?
awesome.
So that when the cameras came together, it looked like they were in the same room.
That's fantastic.
It's awesome, but the problem is you can tell,
Fantastic. Oh yeah.
right? You can totally tell. You're like, I know what you're trying to do, and they know they know that you know,
Of course.
but it's one of those like it's weird humor. But anyway, yeah.
It's all good, man. It's all good.
Yeah.
I feel you. I'm picking up what you're putting down. Okay. What are we doing again? Oh yeah, this thing called Uberview. Sorry, I'm trying to get my windows organized so I can actually pay attention to what's happening. But I never do. You know me.
How many people do we have on Twitch tonight? Anybody?
Right now, none. Last time we did this, we had quite a few. It is, right before Christmas, so maybe people are out. But okay, should we start this off?
Sure.
All right. Hey everybody, this is the Big JB for Uberview. I am joined at the hip with Mr. Dave Wildtree. Welcome back, sir.
Thank you for bringing me back.
Dude, it's so good to have you back. Last week you joined us and we decided to make it official. You are now our third man on the crew.
I am the tap out host.
You're the tap out host. So when somebody goes, I can't do it tonight.
That's right. Send in. Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's so good to have a third here. That way we don't ever have just one person doing it. And plus you bring a lot to the show, so it's all good.
I mean, we've never really talked about our history together. I know that you've known Brandon for how long now?
It's been probably a year.
Well, here's the trippy part, dude. Think about this. You, my friend, made connections with Blizzard in the year 2002.
Right.
And you got us in the World of Warcraft beta.
That's true. That was actually it was the Friends and Family Alpha.
I know. I mean,
I know, right?
I remember the minute I started playing that game, I was utterly addicted.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah.
And it was horribly broken. And I remember spending at least a week in the Barrens looking for invisible tigers. Right? Because at one point the mobs used to disappear on you, right? Like
yeah, I guess that's true.
You had to seek them out. and hope that they would attack you. And
That's
if the
true.
certain bomb would attack you, then you could kill it. So you spent,
Yeah,
I
so you had
remember
to
this
walk around,
quest.
right? Because they were stealthed.
They were stealth.
Oh, that's right.
I am sure that there was a mechanic that they were working on, such as flare or something,
Right.
that would have made these creatures visible. But, they had like two classes, warrior,
And they had a hunter.
priest, hunter. Yeah, they had hunter. Gosh, you remember all that was so
I-
nuts and how
it-
that all came together.
It was, but at the same time, it was, when we played it, I was like, this game is so good.
Yes.
even,
Yeah, in
even in
comparison
that
to
state.
anything that was out there. And it was funny because it was an MMO, but as a game, but just set aside that it was an MMO, as a game, it was fun.
Absolutely.
Right? That's what's crazy about the whole thing. I mean, I struggle with WoW because I've been playing it now for how long? How long have we been playing WoW?
So that would be 16 years?
Yeah, we got the extra bonus here on a lot of people.
Yeah,
We
that's
had
true.
an extra year of
Of the
just that.
Yeah, exactly.
Crazy. So we've been Blizzard fans for a long time, and for some reason we've always been lucked out, and we've gotten into these early alphas and betas.
Yep, that's true.
Yep.
And it's so our history, for people who don't know, is that you and I worked together at Wizards of the Coast, and I think we might have mentioned that before. You started working for me, and then we became friends, and then you were a rat bastard and left the company.
Right?
Yep.
Well, you got to follow your career for sure.
Word, I feel you. So,
But as in with the gaming industry, we both got laid off, and that was the end of that.
right, exactly. And I've tried ever since to get back into it in a way that doesn't suck.
Yeah, totally. And I think what we're doing now is the most fun because we can just be fans
Mm-hmm.
and be backseat drivers to all the things that say Jeff Kaplan is doing.
Right, exactly.
Right? And I don't have to work for it. Because, you and I being both in the industry for as long as we were, you and I both know that you don't really have a whole lot of time to play the games.
That's true. That is true.
Yeah, I don't think that Jeff Kaplan goes home in the evening and just plays hours of Overwatch as a fan or a
Yeah,
right?
I don't know. Sometimes I wonder.
I'm sure they play, and I'm sure they're required to play
Sure, of
because
course.
they're Blizzard.
Right.
But at the same time, can they ever really enjoy the game like a
Mm.
true nut bar fan like you and I are, right?
Nut
Like,
bar.
right? Exactly. Do they do that? It's hard to say,
It is hard to say.
right?
Yeah.
And ultimately, you could never get away from, yes, I'm looking at Symmetra's coat, and I know that I got that thread wrong when I was creating this custom piece of artwork for her, right? There's a pixel that's off. You can never sit down and totally enjoy.
Right.
Torbjorn's beard has never really worked for me in a way that, like, we can't really say it works.
The
right?
the hydrant doesn't shoot water exactly the way it's supposed
Oh,
to.
yeah.
Right.
You know how I got really obsessed about that? Think about the poor Blizzard
I
employee.
know, the poor guy who's agonizing over.
Oh, yeah. Through beta, Josh, right? So we're once again, we're in a beta, early beta.
Right.
And I'm sitting there every week, the fire hydrant, I walk up it, I shoot it, and one week it's blowing steam, and there's no dents. The next week, there's dents but no steam. Right? It's the fire hydrant.
Right, exactly.
One week it is actually both,
And they
right?
and they spent all this time trying to figure out how the fire hydrant worked.
Which isn't even actually in the general map. It's in the hub.
Right,
The
right.
point zone, right? Yeah.
That's right.
So,
Yes. Well, yeah. You and I've always loved doing stuff together. So it's great to be able to do this.
That's true.
We could spend a lot of time just doing nothing, really.
It's true. Well, we have an unusual friendship
Yep.
in that you and I share the same personality type.
Yes, this
It's
is true.
typically most people yin yang, but we yang yang.
Right, which is weird. Well, I mean, yeah. Let's don't tell our wives. Don't tell our wives.
Yeah, that could lead up to what you're going to talk about with the comic this week. But yes.
Well, yes, that is true. Hey, by the way, before I forget, you are recording, right?
Am I recording? No, I'm not recording.
Oh, crud. Okay, can you start recording yourself?
Oh, okay, sure. That means we've got nothing.
Well, I've recorded, but it's just going to be one-sided, so it'll be me just talking.
To yourself?
That's what it'll sound like, yeah.
Wonderful. Yay. I turned it off. The funny thing is, So my recorder is on now. I am recording. The funny thing is I turned it off thinking that you had us all covered.
I'm sorry. That's
That's
why.
okay.
That's why in my Skype message I said, "Hey, you need to record yourself."
So, well, here's the scary part. Like in the show,
Yeah.
I Skype message. You're also telling me you had to go to the bathroom. Like,
Yep. I had to go potty.
that. Does that mean like you'll be just talking to the wall for a while?
No. What I'll do is we'll grab the audio from the video.
Okay, that's good. That's good. All right,
We'll make
this will be a weird edit. It'll be a weird edit.
we'll make Brandon earn his keep.
Yes, exactly. Well,
So for those of you who are wondering where the heck Brandon is, he had to go pick up a family member from the airport, so he couldn't be here. It was kind of a last minute thing, so he was not able to join us, which is
wonderful time of the year. That's what's happening.
That's right. He's dreaming of a winter wonderland.
It's his, and parties are going, and and people are coming in on the plane, right?
And telling scary ghost stories around the fire. I don't know why you do that at Christmas time, but that's apparently what it's
I
for.
figured that out.
Oh, yeah?
I figured that line out. Yeah, because I've listened to it for 1,002 years.
Mm-hmm.
He's making a reference to the Christmas Carol.
That's exactly what I thought. That's exactly my theory.
Well,
I'm like, okay, cool. This has got to be about a Christmas Carol, because what other ghost story happens around Christmas?
Well, I for years thought, well, Christmas used to be much, much more before TV. People would come over and you'd sit around the fire. What else are you going to talk about? Let's talk about Uncle Hubert from Atlanta that make it out of the great Civil War.
Nice. Very nice. And, of course, Merry Christmas to everybody. If you don't celebrate Christmas, Merry or Happy, whatever.
We did Kwanzaa last week, too, and Hanukkah.
Yeah.
We did Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, and let's see, what else do other people celebrate? I don't know. Whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, right on.
I heard in Japan that when I was working for my folks in Japan, they basically came back and told me that Christmas is not like it is in the States. I'm like, yeah, go figure. He's like, Christmas is more about kids and lovers.
Lovers, really?
That's what he said. He's like, it's more like about kids and lovers. Now, I think what he's saying is like it's more about, relationships and
right.
A family coming together and roasting chestnuts, But the way that it was translated for him was it's lovers and kids.
Lovers and Christmas. Kids. Yeah.
It's in Tokyo, right?
Well, yeah, I love our Christmas traditions that we have in our family, and I'm huge on Christmas. I think we talked about it a little bit last week, because we've got so many traditions and stuff that we do that I love the season. It's all my parents' fault. So how is what am I doing? I just tucked my leg under my seat and dropped myself down. Here we go. Welcome to Twitch, everybody. This is the up and down show. So how's Winter Wonderland treating you?
So I think you had my moment of weirdness this week. You were there for it. Right?
Which one?
Which was
it doesn't narrow it down.
We played the Brawl. And
oh yes.
And I wanted to tell you that later on, I know I sounded frustrated, but I verbalize, right? When I can't do something.
Mm-hmm.
So we played the Brawl in which it just switches a hero every time you die.
Right, mystery heroes, yep.
Which means there are 4 heroes that I know really, really well. Maybe 2, 6 possibly. Outside of that, I don't know the rest of them worth ding. Right? So suddenly I'm playing May. Never played May. Not once. Who else? McCree. Never played McCree.
Right.
Never played. Who else? Suddenly I was thrust into a position in which I was playing.
Did you play Soldier?
No, I've played Soldier. I did play Soldier, but I have played Soldier before. He's an outlier for me. But
he's kind of the standard FPS character, so he's pretty easy to get used to.
Yes, correct. But it was a very unusual experience because a well-rounded gamer and people of gaming advice will tell you, hey, you should try the other heroes just to understand what's going on.
Right.
I have a tendency to get very hardcore with like 4 heroes and want complete mastery over them, to be thrust into a situation in which I had absolutely no mastery over that was frightening. Frightening. It's a game.
I know what you mean. It's all good.
Yeah, I was scared.
I was just scared. I needed a hug.
Yeah, exactly. Or frustrating, right? Like this is
Yeah.
just, and I think I sounded. Actually, I know I was crying, but I did sound
You weren't
frustrated, right?
crying.
I don't know anything about May, right? You know, funny thing is that last week I talked quite a bit about May and the effects that May has on the battlefield, but really coming down to it, how hard is it to play May?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I have no idea.
Right. Yeah, and you said you had vocalized, and about how you about how it was going, and I really, it sounded to me like you hated it, and we walked away, and you were like, I don't ever want to play this again.
That's what I'm trying to correct.
Right.
Right. I'm trying to correct that now.
You've got the gestures.
That's right.
Vogue.
I am correcting it now.
Right.
Right. Because it needs to be corrected.
1,000 points of light.
If you don't stretch, again, it's a game, but
True.
I need to stretch. I need to grow, perchance, right?
Yeah. So
Thrust me into that situation, Bentley, and I felt later I thought I'm a better human being.
my job here is done. Good night, everybody. Thank you very much for tuning in.
I now know something about May that I didn't know before. Right?
I think it's a good. I do think it's a good thing. It's part of the reason why I like playing Mystery Heroes, because inadvertently I will get Widowmaker or Genji. People that I don't practice with, I know a little bit. I know enough to be like, I'm not very good with this person. But then you get into Mystery Heroes and like, all right, I'm going to do my best because I know that other people on the other team are in the same spot. So I'm going to be able to hopefully kill somebody with Widowmaker that has no idea what they're doing. So you had said that you really specialize with 4. Does that really mean that have you really not tried every hero even a little bit?
So after that little incident that I had with you, and I know that you walked away thinking I never want to play that particular stuff.
I was like, oh man.
Like an hour later, I get back online and I thought, okay, you know what? I'm going to go in and I'm going to play McCree in quick play for a good hour or so.
So is that all you picked then?
I thought I'll try to figure him out.
Yeah.
Right. Well, come to figure out, I think what Brandon has said before is that McCree is a 1-to-1 shot.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense. Like he shoots and it hits the wall.
Right.
No matter what range you're at.
Right.
And there is a little bit of lead time, but that could be due to some of my latency on my television.
Sure.
Right. So I was trying. Okay. So McCree isn't totally 1-to-1 for me. So I thought, well, let's try Reaper.
Mm-hmm.
I tried Reaper, and I played Reaper after that for another hour.
Wow.
And found that kind of entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
And then started doing all the little dirty things that Reaper does.
And then it gets really fun.
Well, the funny thing is that after my playthrough with Reaper,
mm-hmm.
I played Diva differently today.
Oh, yeah.
Because Reaper has a tendency to be, things are not going our way, and they're all grouping up. They're not getting out the point, so I'm going to do that. You hear the noise.
Right. Right.
Die. Right? And you're like, crap, 4 people down.
Right.
I thought, you could kind of do the same thing with Diva.
Mm-hmm.
She's just loud, right?
True, yeah.
And she doesn't have the opportunity that Reaper has to kind of get in behind the lines and sneak in like in this fog form
mm-hmm.
and take out a party.
Right.
Well, I thought, screw that. One thing that Diva does have is a lot of armor.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to sneak around the group and I'm going to come around and I let my ult go and killed 3 of them on the spot.
Oh, that's awesome. So you
just
were
like a Reaper.
Right. So you didn't launch it into the group.
I was behind the group.
Behind the group, did your ult, and they didn't have a chance to run away. I mean, essentially,
quite literally, I have it recorded. You can watch their Reinhard looking all over the place. Like he's just looking back and forth, and by that time, it's all over with.
Interesting.
Right? There's some back and forth.
Thank you for the hand gestures. Those of you who are not watching us on the stream, Dave is doing Wild Tree sign language.
Yeah, that's correct. Back and forth.
It's interesting that you mentioned that about Diva, because playing Reaper did the same thing for me, in the sense that Diva's guns aren't really great at ranged. I mean, you can
Right.
do range, but you can, up close, she's better at, hitting, doing damage. Which part of the reason why I play her a lot in 3v3. She's my go-to in 3v3. I love playing her. She's a great character in general, but in 3v3, I love that. And you get up close to a Roadhog who's doing the self heal, and you just get your reticle on his head, and just like, okay, just go ahead, keep pumping the inhaler. I'll just take you down. But what you said about the ult too, I've tried that a couple times. I have the worst luck or the worst timing, whatever you like, with D.Va's ult. I can't even tell you the last time I killed more than one person with my ult with her.
Yeah, I think one thing that for the amateur player that is overlooked, and I struggle with this all the time, is for both Reaper, D.Va, any of the characters, is to be sneaky.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? That's a frustrating thing because when I walked in behind that group, I literally walked in behind their Roadhog, and I'm like, I'm right next to him. He can see me, but I'm not shooting.
Right.
My temptation is I see a target, I shoot the target.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, that's not my agenda here. I'm going to walk next to him. He might chain me, and it's freaky to be here.
Right.
But he didn't even notice me.
Yeah.
Right? Because I wasn't shooting him. He could hear me.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't making it like ping, 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 ping against him or anything like that. So I had the ability to actually get into the position I wanted to be.
Yeah.
Which is the other issue with Pharah. I feel like Pharah's ult is interesting in that if you're far, far away, it's kind of useless.
I agree. You and I had this conversation before when we were trying to figure out, Pharah, and we would give people a hard time about playing the ground Pharah. But there is something effective about it when you're in a group. If you're standing on the ground and you do your ult and everybody's right there, it's way more effective than if you're too high.
Yep.
Up in the air.
It's a medium range thing. I think she's great at medium range for her ult, but my tendency, my gut says, don't get close.
Right.
She's a little paper airplane, right?
Right. Well,
she's gone.
And think about here's what I think about is the videos that they put out about the different characters up front, where they were doing some of the initial character intros before the game had released.
Yep.
Pharah is in the air. She's doing her ultimate, attacking a Bastion who's down on the ground. And she's like way up in the air, right? And Bastion is way down here. And she's doing her ult, and she takes the Bastion out. So I think everybody that saw that in their head, see how I'm doing this, right? We're stretching the hands out here on the screen to illustrate how far apart they are. I think in my head, I thought that's her ability. She's going to be way up in the air, and she can just take out whoever when she's up there. But you're right. She's medium range.
Yep.
Sure.
I think especially for her ult, I think at far range, and I'm sure Brandon, if he was here, would be telling us different. The issue with her being so far away is that it's very hard for her to be accurate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? Like, hey, in the video, yeah, of course she's going to hit the Bastion who's not moving.
Right.
Right. Of course she's going to hit the turret that's not moving.
Right. Right.
But in real gameplay, she's kind of got to be in medium range to kind of at least get that splash damage.
Mm-hmm.
Because I can see her watermelons a mile away.
Right. And by the way, just for those of you who don't know Dave speak, that means missiles. It's not a euphemism for anything else. That's
yeah, I haven't smashed but many mountains.
Blizzard went butt, not boob for the female heroes in this game. So oh boy. Okay, so well, that's good. I'm glad that you didn't hate it. I had hoped that we could do it again, and that's the thing I love about doing this show with you and with Brandon is that while we're doing it, I'm like, man, I want to play the game. I want to go play. It's fun to do. So maybe when we're done here, we'll hop on. So good. I'm glad you didn't hate it. That's good. So let's get into some of our topics here. So I don't know if you saw any of the tweets or any of the news, but Terry Crews was at Blizzard with the Overwatch team in the last week. Terry Crews, if you don't know who he is, he did some of the Old Spice commercials. He played in, oh gosh, what else has he played in? He's a big dude. I want to say he played in one of those Sly Stallone movies where they've got, all of the action heroes all together on one screen. I can't remember the name of the movie now. I feel embarrassed, but
I want to call it the Indispensables, but I know
thank
it's
you.
not.
Yeah, no, I'm the Indispensables,
The
Indestructibles.
Indestructibles.
F. Harding in the chat room, help us out, man. We don't know what we're talking about.
Expendables. I used my mind, not the internet.
Expendables, right?
1,
yes,
2,
I
and
think
3.
he was in. I think he was in that one.
The
Why
Indispensables.
don't we look him up, Terry Crews? Because he's hilarious and he's got a great sense of humor. He played Chris's dad on Everybody Hates Chris. Let's see. What's the other thing that people know him from? Hulk and the Agents of Smash. It's a cartoon for kids. He did the voice of Blade. Yeah, he was the Expendables 3. So he's been in all 3 of the Expendables.
Yeah.
So anyway, he was with the Overwatch team. He's an actor. I'm thinking he's a voice actor. I don't think they had him in just to kick back with Terry Crews. I think that they brought him in to do some voice work. So my prediction, I'm gonna say it now, and I think I'm probably wrong, but because we've thrown it out there, I think he's Doofed. I think he's gonna be Doomfist.
Oh, Doomfist.
Yeah.
Okay.
Doofed.
Oh
Doofed's
yeah,
Gauntlet.
Doofed's hammer.
Yeah. Doofed's hammer.
See, I don't even remember. I watched that trailer. How many times? At least 50. At the very least 50. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
If you
what
watch the opening
about?
Cinematic, those of you who haven't listened carefully,
it's Doofed's Gauntlet.
The little kid says it's Doofed's Gauntlet. So that's what we call Doomfist is Doofed. There are some.
Well, say Doomfist like 3 times in a row. Doomfist. You get Doofed.
You get Doofed. It's true. I'm gonna use that as a new term. Man, I got so Doofed. So there are some interesting videos out there on YouTube that talk about the potential of him being a hero that they're featuring, and there's some pretty compelling arguments out there. So I think it's possible. I would hate to say that it's Doomfist or another character. I really feel like he's probably doing another hero, but I'm gonna say Doomfist just to put it out there. What do you think?
So he would sit. I mean, I don't know anything about this. This is the first time I'm hearing it. But as
you're
my
not on the Twitter
mind
machine all day.
Yeah, tell me about it. If I had a guess, let's see here. What was the name of that G.I. Joe character? We already mimicked him tonight. Bottom massage Shingo.
Right.
What was his name? It was Roadblock.
Roadblock. That is his name. You're right. Wow.
So
way to pull that one out.
Yeah. So usually what I try to do, again, with Overwatch, because these guys are our age, and they're not as original. So, granted, you can always look at Blizzard and know that their product is going to be pristine, but they always pull from what they know. Right?
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, I saw that this week. I was actually looking at Street Fighter 5 or 6. I can't remember which one that they're working on now. And there is a character whose hair is, I kid you not, identical to Sombra's.
Yep, and they're our age, right?
Right.
They're a bunch of Gen Xers sitting there going, well, what do you remember as a kid? I remember playing a lot of G.I. Joe.
Right.
So I always make references to G.I. Joe. Like, what characters in G.I. Joe can they pull from G.I. Joe? And the reason I say G.I. Joe is because they've never mentioned G.I. Joe. But there are a lot of basic characters that are from G.I. Joe that sit with Overwatch. And they'll say everything else under the sun, but they never mention G.I. Joe. I always find it interesting because I'm like, man, this show is like G.I. Joe.
Interesting.
Right?
You have more time to think than I do, I think.
Well, I just, the reason it came to me was that it pings on my G.I. Joe feelings, right?
Yeah, I guess that's
when I'm out there playing, I'm like, wow, this is just like my dream come true. I didn't play a ton of G.I. Joe. I was more of a Transformers kid, but it's not like I didn't watch the cartoon.
No, I'm with you. I totally agree. It's interesting that you mentioned it because it never even hit on my radar for G.I. Joe.
Yeah, and I think it's their dirty little secret because G.I. Joe is exactly what Overwatch is. Do you get that? G.I. Joe is a group of covert operatives that have... No, I think that's Cobra. But basically, these are the elite of the military to form a special group called G.I. Joe that basically oversees all of these crazy, weird terrorist activities, aka Cobra, right? They're the tipping scale, right? If there wasn't them, no one would be there to deal with Cobra, but the normal military, everybody else, would be dealing with it on their own. So Overwatch is the same thing. There's a world at war. Things are not going in the favor of the heroes, and so what they do is they put this awesome group of people together to kind of tip the balance in their favor.
Right.
AKA Overwatch, AKA G.I. Joe.
There you go. You know what? I think you've found the mystery.
It's not the mystery, but well, I'll say
it is a mystery because I would never even thought about it.
Well, the reason I say it now is that what I would do is I start going through the character list of G.I. Joes at this point to see, hey, what G.I. Joes are really cool, because all the G.I. Joes have some cool thing that they do. I mean, if there's, I'll say this, there is no Shipwreck yet. Give it time. Shipwreck was like a super popular character for you, G.I. Joe, and we don't really have a Navy guy yet.
Right, I was going to say he was a freaking sailor.
Right? So, but is there a water guy yet? Like, he does... He throws lifesavers at people.
He's got an annoying parrot.
That's right. Actually, it'd be really cool, right? You got this parrot that just bugs people like Tracer or something.
That's one of the things that we talked about. Is I think that there's at some point they're going to do some kind of hunter or pet companion character.
Here's something we should do, and I should just do this on my own. I should get the list of all the G.I. Joes, list of all the Overwatch characters, and just start making
parallels.
Yep.
Do it.
Okay, that'd be rather fun.
I'll put it down as your action item for the next meeting.
Well, I just thought about the twins. There's the twins on the Cobra.
Oh, yes.
Right? And the abilities that you could have with somebody that could actually be, I'm sure they've thought this out or tried to, like a real true cooperative character.
Yeah,
they did with Heroes of the Storm with the two-headed dude. But imagine if you had two players, that are dealing with, playing an Overwatch. I don't know how they do it. I'm trying to think how they do it. It'd be a lot of fun, though.
Yeah, I kind of feel like Cho'Gall was a failed experiment, in my opinion.
Do people even play him now?
It's very rare. For me to see somebody that's actually playing him is very rare.
Yeah.
Who was the chameleon guy? Was it Zartan?
Yeah, Zartan.
I loved that guy. I thought
Zartan.
he looked so cool.
Yeah, he was a cool looking dude.
He was a cool looking dude. And it was a hood. It wasn't his hair, was it? I'm looking at pictures of him now. Yeah, I always thought it was his hair, but it's actually his hood. Yeah, anyway, we're getting off the beaten path.
If you're looking at the G.I. Joes, you might be thinking, hey, what G.I. Joes have they now pulled from?
Well,
right?
you can. We'll let you put that together, and we'll talk about it. We don't need to. We'll go into it right now because it would be fascinating to dig into, but I know that people listening and people watching don't really want to watch us just browse the internet for.
We need Brandon.
Yeah, that's true.
Now we're totally off track.
All right, so let's talk about the latest Overwatch comic. They did one that was Christmas, holiday, winter wonderland theme. I actually thought that the comic was really interesting in that it gave us a lot more story than we've seen before. There's actually a lot more backstory in some of those shots than we knew. We didn't know that Torbjorn, for example, was married and had a whole passel of children. Right?
Makes sense.
It's that kind of stuff where it's like, wow, okay, they really reveal it. The one thing that they did also reveal, and I don't want to go off on too much of a tangent on this or get into a big debate. I don't want to turn this into hate for this or anything else, but they did reveal that Tracer is gay, and that it really caught me by surprise to begin with, because I would not have picked her. The thing is that BlizzCon 2015, the question was asked whether or not the alternate sexualities were going to be represented, and somebody on the Overwatch panel said yes, they would. And so I knew it was coming, and I think anybody who watched that knew that was going to be happening. And there were lots of theories and stuff out there. and then they did that in the comic, and it caught me off guard, to be honest, because I was like, I didn't even think about her as a possible thing. I don't know why. I just didn't. The stereotypical thing, of course, would be to have Zarya to be that. I got so angry the other day with somebody who basically made some kind of snide comment about Zarya being a lesbian. And I was like, hey, now come on. And the way he said it in particular just really rubbed me wrong. I was like, come on, dude. The question that I want to ask, I'm not raging or anything like that. The question that I want to ask is, do we really need to address sexuality in the Overwatch universe at all? Does it really have any bearing on the characters of the story?
Well, you already said it. And of course, I'm the only one that can respond.
Right. And I'm obviously putting it out there to the audience.
Yeah.
And I want people to respond. I mean, you can email us at uberviewshow@gmail.com with your comments. You can also contact us through the website, uberviewshow.com, and then Twitter. We'll give all that contact information at the end of the show. So, yeah,
Well,
I'd love to hear from people. But
I'll put it this way. Age of Ultron.
Okay.
Avengers.
Okay.
Right? We find out that Hawkeye has this elaborate family life that's been concealed, and completely changes the nature of that character for me.
Okay.
Was unexpected, right? And suddenly I know more about him. I know his backstory, and when he gets hit, I know that he's got 2 kids. Like, he ends up in Civil War in a prison, right? I'm like, he's a dad.
Yo, dude, I didn't even think about that with that movie. I didn't even. Wow. Okay, sorry. I don't want to get off on too much of a tangent. Yeah, sorry.
I get it, but what I'm saying is, yes, I think it's important in the context, like when we talk about Torbjorn and his family. How much does he have riding on the line? Quite a bit. If Torbjorn goes down, that's going to be pretty devastating for everybody involved, right? And that's why, as human beings, we find these attachments really important, right? So I don't think, again, the way the comic book displayed it, it was pretty much not hit over the head with it.
Oh, no, right. It wasn't. I mean, yeah,
like,
I agree.
I'm having this really queer feeling, right, or whatever, right?
That might not be really the best turn of phrase in this conversation, but
right. No, I'm just saying, like, it wasn't this overt sexual thing that just is in my face. Right. In essence, it's like, hey, this is my girlfriend, and I want to bring her something special home.
It was very tender, and it was very sweet. So I don't, that's not.
But what brought tears to my eyes, the whole subplot with Winston. It clearly looked like, I thought Winston is going to be alone.
Yes.
He's kind of been alone for quite some time, and to have those 2 girls show up was a big deal, right?
I agree.
Because these characters have a lot riding on the line.
Yeah, that's true.
It's important.
That's true.
So
you're saying that yes, that kind of thing, even down to somebody's sexuality, matters because it connects players with the characters more. It adds a level of depth to it.
Yep.
So the person who is a family man like you and I, we identify with Torbjorn and realize he's in this story. If something happens to him, it impacts all these other people.
Correct.
And now we know with Tracer, if somebody else was gay or they identified with Tracer, in that way, now they're more attached to that character because they realize that something is on the line for her as well.
Well, let's mention the biggest family relationship in the game that was merely hinted at and everybody went nuts for. Hanzo and Genji.
Yep.
And it was just that you are like, I want what does he say? You're my brother or something to that effect, and the audience went nuts.
Yes, that's absolutely right.
So, and it's just a little bit of information. I mean, so I think it's important that we know. It's weird, like I say, do I need to know their sexuality? No, what I really want to know is who they are. Right? Who are they in relationship with? How does that function? What's it like to be a part of Overwatch? That what they're trying to do is they're trying to humanize Tracer for you by saying, just like everybody, she struggles with trying to get a gift, or she's at the bell is tolling and I haven't gotten a gift yet.
Which does really crack me up that that's part of the story.
All the characters have had that problem.
That she's the one that's doing the shopping last minute. I mean, if anybody could get it done quick, You'd
Correct.
think it would be Tracer and get it done faster.
Right. So,
Yeah, well, that's really interesting. And again, folks, those of you who are just joining us, Dave is officially our third man on the show, and so part of the reason why Brandon and I wanted to bring in a third was, of course, those situations when we can't be here, one of us can't be here, and we'll always have two hosts. But then the other thing is that Dave brings a unique perspective to this whole thing, and I think you, me, and Brandon have all said in our conversations that we've all helped each other see the game in a different light.
mm-hmm.
And I think that what you just said certainly does that for me. I think it will do it for our listeners too, to sort of give that different perspective. I know a lot of people went really nuts and there was a lot of rage over that particular thing in the comic.
Yep.
And I think rage is extreme. I think that's a little ridiculous.
Yeah, my famous statement, it is what it is.
Yep.
That's the choice that they've made. And honestly, I mean, okay, it's the environment we live in. It's just, it is what it is.
Yep.
The concern that I actually had was Emily came out of left field, which is her girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking to myself, what happens if Tracer dies? Right? Does Emily take up the gun? Do all these things play into it? How well does she know Winston? What does she bring to the Overwatch world?
Yeah, you went a lot deeper, which is what I appreciate. I think that's the line of thinking that we should have.
Well, anytime, okay, if you watch Game of Thrones, perish the thought.
I don't.
But or heck any show of this day and age, when they start giving a lot of exposition to a particular character, I start worrying. Because I'm like, oh, you're giving, The Walking Dead and all the stuff with Glenn, right? Spoiler alert, right? Nothing.
I'm sorry, I don't watch that either.
It's okay. There's a lot of media out there that basically is kind of doing this bait and switch on a lot of people, where they give a lot of character, a lot of exposition. The thing that's safe for Tracer is she's the iconic image of Overwatch.
Right.
Right? And that's an interesting choice for Blizzard. And the reason I say it's interesting and quite, you could say almost on the verge of controversial, is that typically Hollywood will sit with the tried and true, this is where this gender is because the majority of the people are orientated this way.
Right.
So we want to appeal to our general audience.
Mm-hmm.
And what I've always appreciated about Overwatch is that they actually have a grandmother who plays the game, Anna. Right?
True.
Like, if you look at the amount of diversity within the game itself, they take a huge amount of risk all over the place with a lot of their characters, just in who they are.
Yeah.
I never thought I would love Symmetra as much as I do. And she's a villain, for crying out loud. Right?
Wait, who's a villain? Sorry.
I thought you said Symmetra was a villain. I thought she was more on the villain side.
Oh, no, I think people were suggesting that she was. I think it's because of that Lucio
Symmetra thing. I'm not sure where she sits, but
yeah, I think what they said at BlizzCon was that Symmetra is not quite as cut and dry as people think.
Right.
That she definitely has an agenda.
But she is. I want to say she's Indian.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Real Indian.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Indian, not Native American.
Yes, exactly. And I find her incredibly appealing because of what she brings to me, not because of what she is.
Yeah. Agreed. So people in the chat room are really enjoying your camera angle, by the way. There it is. There's the hand motion. See?
Yeah, we leave here the gap so that I can do a Napoleon butterfly.
Napoleon butterfly.
That's what he does, right?
There you go. Yeah,
they're doing the that's the little angel from, Oh.
There you go. That's very nice.
Yeah,
the people who are listening to the show are like, what the heck are they talking about?
I don't know.
No, that's good, dude. I thank you for bringing that. I appreciate that balance on those characters. You always challenge me. I get all passionate and fired up over something and like, no, we don't need this, or why do we do this? And you're like, hey, how about this?
Well, here's the hard thing here's the hard part that I have with it though, is that people were totally cool with this particular thing, but they're not cool with Farah's Thunderhawk outfit. feeling that it's incredibly disrespectful culturally to put that in the game.
Mm.
I know that we've talked about that before, but I'm like, well, how can you display different culture? I know that they've talked about Symmetra's Indian Hindu outfit that she wears from time to time, and I'm like, is that really disrespectful, or is it honoring a culture that I think is just extremely cool?
That's the category that I put it in is the latter.
Right. So, but is Blizzard being disrespectful by just smattering culture on a character because it looks cool? That's the issue that's brought up there.
Yeah.
Right? Totally different thing, but it
Sure.
kind of sits in the same realm.
Yeah, there's interesting things, and it's come up this week at work, actually. Some interesting things that people get bent out of shape over. And it came up this week. We're moving to a new space at the office, and we're talking about where do we sit people. And the guy who's in charge of the move, he's our HR guy. He's talking about how we need to think about it carefully. We need to think about how we're going to present this move to everybody carefully. And I'm like, dude, we're talking about moving seats. It's a better space in general. Do we really need to worry about what people are going to think and say and do about these seats? I mean, it's like, it's so immature in my mind. It's so petty. It's like, there's other things that we could be thinking about and spending our time doing. Some of these things I feel like kind of fall into that category where I'm like, look, I left high school. Let's be mature adults about this. we can talk about this without, getting all up in arms over it. And is it really that important? I think that yes, the cultural stuff is absolutely important. So I don't want that to get misconstrued. I think that's huge. I think the fact that they represent, they're all about diversity, right? I mean, that's the whole thing. But I think that the costume, for example, using this specific example, is so true to Native American art that, specifically Pacific Northwest Native American art.
Yep, which I love.
Yeah.
I love ovoids and U's. They're my favorite.
Oh, good. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Those are the basic shapes that the majority of Native American culture use in their artwork. And if you look at Farah's, art history background, art major.
Oh, okay, here we go.
So ovoids and U's are what am I talking about? Let's get back to the show. Sorry. Welcome to Anthropology Now.
You thought you were listening for Overwatch, but
that's right.
We're going to be talking about digging up the remnants of this old skeleton.
Sorry.
Oh, dude, no, it's fine. It's good. It's just about us, man. Stuff's interesting. All right, so we'll go ahead and get back on track. So let's talk about the dev update. I love it when Jeff Kaplan does these, especially when he does them on a Wednesday, because it gives us so much to talk about when we get into the show. Although, let's see.
So much to talk about, yet not so much to talk about.
Yeah.
That's how I felt about it, right? This kind of like this year's BlizzCon. Huh?
Sorry, I'm distracted by... Oh, interesting. Sorry, Lashandra said that someone suggested that the guy in the comic is her dad, and since Canadian hockey is on in the back on the TV, this is in the comic, that potentially he's native, and she's half native and half Egyptian.
Oh, well, that's interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting. I didn't even think about that. I love it's stuff that the community. The panel with Reaper. In the comic, it's just one panel, and he's in the shadows, and he's looking at a family walking together, and that's all it is. There's so much or so little that can be inferred by that scene. It's like, is he looking?
I would have liked it if they had Reaper's hands out, and the family was giving him like a coin or something. Because he kind of looks like a homeless guy.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the creepy creeper in the background.
Or if he was pointing to a gravestone or something. Yeah. Like the Ghost of Christmas Future.
No, it's a creepy shot, right? I totally get it. And I think the interpretation, what you're saying is, he's thinking about something he never had or wishes that he did have.
Right.
But I'm like, but you don't really see the man behind the mask. So you're like, what the heck are you looking at?
Right. I mean, maybe he's there to take one of them out.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't know. Okay, so to the dev update. So there was a year in review that came out today, and Jeff talked about some upcoming stuff, and I loved his phrase where he said a lot of stuff is coming, which is good because if you listened to a show a couple weeks ago, Brandon and I said, "This is awesome. This has been a great year. What are they going to do to keep us interested in the next year?" So, what's some stuff that you heard on that, Dave, that you liked?
Like I said, it was a whole lot of nothing. That's to pinpoint, like he was basically saying new heroes, prototype heroes that might be coming, right? New maps. The thing that I found most intriguing about his statement was there are things that are coming up that are going to be very unexpected, right? Unexpected content coming down the line. I thought, this is something that Blizzard has been trying to capture, and you saw it at BlizzCon as well, where the guy from Warcraft got up there and said, we're going to do events that's like boat day. People are going to get on their boats, and we're just going to have a good time, and it's not going to be this pressure thing that you're going to miss the minion or the little mount that we're going to sell on that day. It's more or less, these are community events that bring the community in that are going to be a fun thing that you don't expect. Although he totally spelled out all these little fun things.
Micro holidays.
Correct.
Yeah.
I have a feeling that some of that has probably spilled over to the Overwatch team too. But what I like about what Kaplan was saying was we're not going to tell you. We're going to surprise you. Unexpected things are coming,
which is great because that's what they've done with the seasonal events so far. Nobody expected. Okay, I can't say nobody. Very few people suspected that the Summer Games was coming.
Right. Totally.
And then all of a sudden, there it was.
And the Rocket League thing that they did was. Can't say the best that there was, but it was totally different, very unexpected, and I think it'd be great to have once again games surprise us. It's very hard to get surprised these days with any game because we've got this marketing machine that basically tells us the whole thing.
Right. Well, and then the data mining and everything else in the community. I mean, people want to know stuff ahead of time and be important in the community. Data mining is definitely a way to do that. Brandon had a great idea that I still love, that I wish that they had done at Thanksgiving, where it was like a turkey shoot, where like while you're waiting for the game to load, while you're waiting for the teams to get set up in your spawn room, there's like turkeys, and you've got to take them down and gather them up, and it gives you something, whatever it is, but it would be real minor, and it wouldn't, you wouldn't have to collect stuff or get open loot boxes. You would just this would confer some kind of bonus or something. That would be kind of cool. I mean, it would be a surprise. It would be small. It wouldn't be the major, hey, if you don't do this, you're going to miss out on all the skins and stuff.
Yeah. So I that's the part I was excited about, and possibly the idea that there might be some new mechanics.
Yes.
In the game.
Yep. You mentioned that because the brawls are where they're really experimenting with a lot of that stuff. So he did say that they're going to look at some new mechanics. So a new game mode, that'd be pretty sweet.
Yeah. And hopefully, I mean, yeah, okay, I don't need to forget it. Forget what I was going to say.
So for seasonal events, I think that there are going to be some big holidays. I don't know that they're going to do all the same ones that they do in WoW. I kind of hope that they don't, honestly.
Yep.
So I would anticipate, I don't know if I can see Easter or Valentine's Day more. I wrote Valentine's Day down as my guess for the next kind of big seasonal event. Not a micro holiday, but the next seasonal event. But I'm not sure. I mean, I suppose it could be Easter, but I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I thought it'd be fun tonight. Maybe make some predictions about, because he's basically talking about 2017.
Yeah, well, let's do it.
And it'd be fun to just throw some predictions out there.
Okay, so then mine's gonna be Valentine's Day. He's gonna do
Valentine's Day event. So, okay, I'll just throw a really weird one out there. How about spring solstice? Right.
Okay, sure.
Right.
I'm writing this
Probably
down
not.
because
Probably not.
I'd love to be able to go back in the notes and say, dude, Dave totally nailed it. He called it.
Well, okay. What I always find is that January, February, March, April, there's nothing much going on, right? Kite flying day in April, I think, happens.
Yeah.
Right. There's April Fools. Oh, okay. Scratch it. April
Okay.
Fools.
You're saying
It's
April
mine.
Fools? Okay.
Yes. I don't know what they're going to do, but they're definitely going to do something for that.
Okay.
It'll be a major thing for them. And it won't be a website where they put up, hey, we're going to be taking Torbjorn and all turrets out of the game kind of crap.
Right, exactly.
And
no,
adding pandas, right?
Yeah. Yay for pandas.
Yeah.
I still want a panda skin for May. I'm telling you. I think it would work. Here was an interesting idea. Okay, I'm saying it's interesting. It was my idea, so it's a little arrogant to say that, but hey, I'm an interesting fellow.
Sure.
How about Martin Luther King Jr. Day?
Oh, that'd be a blast.
Because
I'm not sure how you do it. You'd be very sensitive about it, but
right, exactly. Because he was about equality, right? So I mean, and the diversity and representation of the different cultures, could do something there.
You could, more than the spring solstice.
Yes, I would agree with that. I wasn't going to say anything, but you're the one who put it out there.
Well, I was thinking druids and stuff like that. You know, they could put a maypole out there or something, and all the characters dance around the maypole for the solstice.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, that's my next prediction. Is there's going to be a maypole in the game, in which the characters can kind of dance around to bring the ribbons together.
Oh my gosh.
And yes.
I'm writing it down. I doubt that I'm putting it in there.
Definitely new character. For
right,
sure.
Right.
Next year we'll get at the very least one.
Yes. Yeah. And I think he pretty much, he all but said that. He said that there are multiple new heroes in development, but one is in the art pipeline, was his exact phrase, which means that they're feeling pretty confident about it.
And I was bummed. There was no direct reference to, say, a Seattle map.
Oh, wouldn't that be amazing? I still want a Seattle map.
But we get Oasis, right? Get hit by cars.
Yep, which is, it's fun. Hey, by the way, don't step on the free.
That's going to be interesting with Lucio and Diva, because you can push people into traffic.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I had not thought about this, but basically Lucio could push Grandma into traffic. Right? Because Anna's just sitting there shooting. Lucio comes up.
Bonk.
Bring it down. Boom. That's right. Oh, goodbye, Grandma. That'll be his new line.
Goodbye, Grandma.
Grandma.
Okay, so one of the things that I was really excited about in the news, because I've been talking about this for a long time, is the ability to use multiple emotes.
Oh, yeah, that was
voice
awesome.
lines. Yes, he said that they are going to be doing that. They're going to update the communication wheel, so you can choose up to 4 voice lines, up to 4 emotes, and you can put them on the communication wheel. If you don't know what that is, that's when you hold down the C button, and you've got all the different things that you can do to interact. I'm drawing circles in the air as if people on podcast can.
Hello.
Yeah, exactly. I just have mine mapped to hotkeys because who has time to go see and then do the other stuff? So,
if you play with a gamepad.
Yeah, I guess that's true. So, and then there will also be key bindings to support those emotes, which is awesome because I want to be able to laugh, sit, and do some other kind of emote without having to pick just one. So that was exciting. They're going to do the same thing with the spray wheel. You're going to be able to pick 4. You can only have 1 in the environment at a time, but you'll be able to kind of preload 4. I'm sorry, am I tiring you out, Dave?
Not at all.
Okay.
It's, just get past my bedtime. Which is a total lie, but yes.
So he mentioned something that I thought was interesting. I wanted to get your take on this. You and I have talked about the benefit of being in voice chat with your team when you're doing competitive.
Yep.
And how that communication makes a huge difference. And recently, they the most recent patch, they released the stay as team button.
Yep.
He said in the video that they're going to do something similar to that, where there is an incentive or a prompt rather to join the team chat instead of party chat. What do you think about that? Do you think that'll help this?
Yes.
Okay, cool, good. I'm glad I asked an open-ended question.
It's as easy as that. No, I told you in the last show that my favorite feature was that yes button to stay as a team.
Right.
This is excellent. It's great. You need to develop community, and gosh, I can't think of all these, say, other games that I've played where it's sort of like, out you go, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're done, and boy, you had a really great experience, but boy, again, this past week has been great because I've had a lot of gelling experiences, right? Like, oh,
Yeah, that's good.
I'll stay as a team, right?
Yep.
So,
Yeah, I've used it once, I think. I'd like to try it again. I'd like to get into a good stride. Actually, when I logged off last night, I had gotten in a group that was really, really good, and so a whole bunch of people said, "Yes, stay as group," and I was like, I have to log off. I'm going, I'm going to bed.
yeah.
It's pretty funny. I was looking at the chat room, the attendees. We went from having one person to having almost 10, and we're down to one again. And it's F. Harding, the true faithful fan who's been here through the entire evening. So, props to F. Harding. Um, last thing I was going to... So we talked about maps. We want to see more maps. That'd be great. Making it easier to find custom games. Have you done any custom games? Have you tried messing around with any of the custom games?
Yeah. So when I told you, I think last time in the other episode I was in,
You've been in two other ones so far. So.
Yeah, okay, but they talked about pro tips.
Mm-hmm.
There's a way in which, and I've only done it once, so here comes the pro tip of the day, in which you can go in as anybody and set it up to have 6 Annas on the other team.
Mm-hmm.
And the Annas are all AI, right? And basically then you program her to only be able to shoot you in the head, as I recall. And I set this up. And it puts it in a position in which Anna can't shoot you. What you do get is you get a bunch of 6 players out there in which you can try to shoot in the head. But they're moving around, bopping around. They're hard to hit because they're all being stealthful or whatever. They don't really group up that much.
Right.
So I have used that to help improve my aim.
Huh.
And
Genius.
not get shot.
Genius.
Yep. So I've used those things to help me. And the guys who gave the pro tip was basically like, and I'd like to give him props if I could, but I couldn't find that video again.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, do this as your warm up every day. Get in there with McCree, set up the 6 Annas. There are so many things you can do with custom games. It's crazy.
Yeah, it really is, and I like the idea. So what Kaplan? The reason why I ask obviously leads into what Kaplan said was that they want to make it easier to find custom games because right now you have to invite people to your custom game. You can't just go find a custom game. So this is very much like TF2, CS:GO, whatever else. Is that when you start a server, when you start a game, other people can find it. Same thing with StarCraft. All that other stuff. So this is right in line with that, and I think it's a great idea because then you could find custom games where people are doing some fun and wacky things.
Or you could do the warm up with Mr. Kidney, right? Hey,
Exactly.
Wild Tree's in there, warm it up. Come on in, we're gonna shoot Anna.
Exactly.
Throw her into traffic.
That's what. Yeah, let's throw her into traffic. Yeah, let's do it, man. Let's throw Grandma into traffic.
Throw Mama from the train. There you go.
Yeah. Right on. Good stuff this week. I mean, it's pretty light in terms of news, I guess, but I think I always like Jeff Kaplan's updates.
Well, I think with Overwatch and the popularity of Overwatch, what's fun about Overwatch is the community that surrounds it, right?
Agreed.
So it's not just Blizzard giving us drops of information. We can, at any moment of given time, you can turn on YouTube and watch crazy things that people are doing.
Oh gosh,
like this last. What is the one where they were taking May's ice wall and stacking it like Jenga?
Oh,
stack it up to the sky, and they would just collapse on itself. Right? The community's doing that because it's fun and interesting, and it develops a whole new side of the game you didn't see before.
Right. No, that's true. It's and then the things out there that people will do, like top 5 things you missed on the map or something like that, which is interesting to me because there are a few things on maps that I missed. But I was playing with you played with her, Tiffy Taffy. We were talking about, oh hey, this is really cool. I love that they did this, and she's like, how do you pay attention? I'm too busy trying to kill people to pay attention to that stuff. And I'm like, oh, I love the environment so much. I look around, and.
Yeah, I still have yet to show you that sled.
Yes, the sled that you found, not
the
payload.
Sled. No, it was a sled, like a little kid sled that slid out into London.
Huh. Okay, yeah, we're gonna have to Hey, we could do a custom game.
Game to 10 custom. Can
So-
you do the winter customs?
We should see. That'd be great if we can.
Mhm.
So you were talking about how cool the community is. There were a couple Twitter accounts that I want to mention that are doing some pretty cool stuff. So one of them is Overwatch Feed. They regularly post some really fantastic fan art. So if you want to find fan art that is great, or I don't know if they do very much cosplay, but they do a lot of really neat fan art out there. Can kind of help you discover new artists, people on DeviantArt a lot of times. So that's really good. And the other one is actually somebody that I've talked to and who's even featured, included one of my videos in one of his videos. Overwatch TV is his name. Actually, I wonder. Actually, it might be there might be an underscore in that one. Hold on just a second. Yes, it's at Overwatch_TV, and he puts together videos of people's different play sessions, sometimes his own, where he's seen.
They do cosplay.
Overwatch Feed does do cosplay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so it's a lot of that kind of stuff. Overwatch TV is videos, stuff that he's seen that are gameplay videos, let's play, whatever. So he does some pretty cool stuff too. So it's those are the kind of things I love have come up around the community. There's another person, I can't remember their YouTube channel, but they've done like Mythbusters, Overwatch Mythbusters. Have you seen any of those? Like, can Roadhog hook somebody through a teleporter? they fixed it, but it used to be able to do
Oh,
that.
wow.
I think. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Anything from the community that you want to point out?
I just pointed it out. The Leaning Tower of Ice Walls.
Oh, that's true.
No.
But you didn't call any specific channel or person out, Dave. So.
There was a bunch of Mays that were on the YouTubes that were putting ice falls together, and I thought, wow, that's an interesting videos.
I appreciate you
I'm gonna watch
clarifying that for us.
Yeah.
That's
You
helpful.
should do a search in the YouTubes for Ice Wall May. Who knows what you may find?
May Jenga.
That's May Jenga.
Jenga May.
Jenga May.
Well, I think we've come to the end of our show here, my friend.
Oh my gosh, yes, we have.
Merry Christmas. Happy holidays to everybody and the Overwatch team. They've provided so much, honestly, it's so much joy. I mean, I'm sure that people who are on my Twitter feed that used to follow me for other things are sick of me talking about Overwatch. I don't care. I love Overwatch. And
It's a good game.
Yeah, we've got so much joy out of it. So, of course, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to them and to you, Mr. Kidney.
Yeah, and to you as well. Have a good one.
Thank you. You too. So let's go through where to find us on social media. Brandon's not here, so he gets left out. You can find me on Twitter at Voice of the Big JB. That's where I do most of my social media-ness. You can also find me at youtube.com/thebigjb. And then what about you, Mr. Kidney?
Parenting Mistakes, right? That's my primary podcast. So you can follow us on Facebook at Parenting Mistakes and on Twitter at Parent Mistakes. And you can also email us at parentingmistakes@hotmail.com. But that's my home base.
Okay, so Parent Mistakes is on Twitter, right?
Yep.
And it's Parenting Mistakes on Facebook.
That is correct. And the name of the show is Parenting Mistakes, the podcast.
The podcast. Okay, I'm going to make sure to get that on there because you're on Twitter as well.
I am, but I wish I was better at it.
Me too.
It's just there's so many ways in which I need to be more responsive. You know, I need a staff for crying out loud.
I have some friends that would definitely agree for themselves. Jason and Jerry, who's been on the show before, actually Jerry Barnacles. He's got a huge following. He really needs. He needs
some help.
Somebody to do his editing for him because he spends that's the thing. If you're going to do a successful YouTube channel, it just takes a lot of time to edit. So
it does.
Yeah. All of the information that we've just listed is on our homepage at uberviewshow.com. You can email us at uberviewshow@gmail.com. And of course, the best ratings get read out on the show. We need some new ratings, people. We've been looking at the same 5 for too long. So please get on the iTunes store and rate us, if you please. I think that's it for us here. Any last words, Dave? Any last bits of wisdom?
Yeah, looking at the fan art, kind of fun.
Yeah, it is kind of fun.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Bye-bye. Dave, say bye.
Oh, bye.
Bye.
All right, where do I put this?
That's a good ending right there.
Yeah.
Where do you put what?
Let's see here. So recording finish. I don't want to open it. I need to give you my sound file.
Yes. Put it in the. You know what I'm going to do is I'll share with you the entire folder. So
I
let me
think
just
you
say goodnight to the chat room.
have
Good night, everyone.
Uberview. What is today's date? 12/21. No.
And stopping the stream now.
And